Welcome everyone to another Inspired Biz conversation. I'm your host, Tammie Pike, and today I'm so blessed and honored to have an amazing woman who has not only changed my life, but so many other women around the world. And she's done this by connecting ourselves back to our essence that is wild, wise, and free. So thank you so much, Rochelle, for being here today.
Thank you, Tammie. I'm so inspired by you and inspired to connect with everyone today. So thank you.
Thank you. So Rochelle Schieck is a founder of Qoya and an author of Qoya, a compass for navigating an embodied life that is wild, wise, and free. Qoya combines movement, ritual, community, and pilgrimage for women. Since its inception in 2009, Rochelle has trained hundreds of Qoya teachers, including myself, taught thousands of Qoya movement classes, and led dozens of retreats in the most sacred places on earth with one intention in mind: to remember and to help others to do the same. Her work has been featured in outlets like New York Magazine, Oprah.com, The Telegraph, and Psychology Today. To learn more, you can go to www.qoya.love. So I am really blessed to have you today because, again, I don't have many people who really, there's so many inspirational women in the world. And it was just such a journey to discover you when I was on that path of, wanting to connect back to my sensuality. And I think I was doing this for a year, and there's only one day that it seemed to pop up in my, when I was Googling sensual movement. And the thing that drew me so much to Qoya was the real connectedness to the heart and to self. And I'd love for you to share, Rochelle, what it was that actually enabled you to create what you have created in the world.
Isn't that a good question? I'm often very curious about this because so many people alive right now, I feel like they feel this call to create and to participate in the evolution of consciousness of the time, in the responding to the world as it is right now. It's a very dynamic time to be alive. So it's like, okay, I feel like if I just can go ahead and speak for all women, it's like we're feeling the call to create, but how do we do it? And so I can't speak for all women, so I will just speak for myself and say that for me, there were several different points in my life where, there's a fork in the road and you have to choose. And so one of the first ones was reading The Alchemist when I was 18 years old and having the premise, when you follow your heart, the world conspires on your behalf. So part of my promise to myself was I was going to live and see if that was actually true. I was going to give my life as an experiment. And so there are several different times where I was offered maybe more of a corporate situation, doing something that wasn't really honoring the earth, but had a big paycheck, and it just didn't feel right in my heart. And I decided to stick with teaching yoga, which was not financially lucrative, but was deeply rewarding to see people reconnect with their bodies, reconnect with their spirits, reclaim their health. So I was getting paid in all these ways that weren't necessarily financial. And then I got to a point of doing that for several years where it was like, okay, I've done enough personal growth work to know how to adapt to other situations, but also know that I can create and receive more in my life and receive more value for what I'm providing, because people are having life-changing experiences, so it's like that's worth something. And I know for myself and all the work that I've done, I've invested in myself greatly, and I've really loved the opportunity to have access to this information and love to support the people that were providing it, because I was grateful. He's like, yes, please go share this with the world. This is amazing. So I had an evolution of being able to have a bigger vision for myself. And then it went from teaching yoga into Qoya coming into being. And that was really a woman raising her hand in a women's circle and just saying, everyone's saying I need to get out of my head and into my body, and I don't even know what that means. And from there, I was really inspired and had this understanding, what I felt that she was asking for was not the next fitness fad. Is what she was asking for was, how do I know what it feels like to really be in my body or be myself, and my capital letter S self. So, how does it feel when I'm present and when I'm here? And I realized in her asking that question that was actually how I always related to movement. what I loved about yoga, what I loved about dance, what I loved about sensual movement was not really anything other than I felt more like myself. So then Qoya started to come and be like, how does a woman's body want to move? And how does she move in a way that is the most authentically expressive of her truest nature? And so that happened. And I've been doing that for about 9 years. And I have these calls that support the Qoya teachers community, which you might know of or get on or listen to the recordings or the emails. And we had one today, and people were asking, like, literally like this, how do you make it lucrative? Like, how do you make it into one of those things? And I was like, I feel really blessed for where Qoya is now, but also it's been 9 years of me like working my ass off. And I've been doing it in ways that I found to be inspiring and pleasurable, and I'm not complaining, but I feel like it's important when we have these conversations of how did you do it, that there is this combination of inspiration, and there is this, like, I literally put it in the center of my focus for many, many, many years. Mm-hmm. And there are times when I would, accelerate and put my foot on the gas. And there's times where I would step back and I'd say, I don't know what to do next, like divine lead me. And I'd see what would come in next. So there was definitely like a feminine way of stepping in, but it's been all encompassing. Mm. Yeah, it's been very full. Yeah.
And I think that's the thing is, everything takes dedication, clarity, and, that drive and that inspiration. And it's always connecting back to your why, isn't it? Like, because why do you do what you do? Why do you go and spend all your time trying to grow something that no one knows what you're talking about? You know what I mean? Why is it? And it's always coming back to that place of your why has to be bigger than anything else. It has to be, because you are one person, but you are, creating change. And for me, it feels like you're definitely on the forefront of bringing this heart-centered way of business and being, and because you're living and walking your talk as well as helping others to connect to what you're trying to share as well. Is, you know what I mean? It just, and it also feels too like, because you, like I said, you could go corporate, how do you not get stuck in that mindset of, this is the steps on how you grow your business, and because you've really done it such an organic and beautiful way, how did you stay true to that every single time?
Well, I would say that one was from experience. So sometimes I would get invitations that my body would say no, and I would honor my body's wisdom and not do it. And people would be like, that doesn't make any sense. That's a great financial opportunity, or this person has so much prestige, you should work with them. And I would just be like, something doesn't feel right. No, I'm just, especially when what I'm teaching is trusting the body. But every once in a while, because you said like every single time, every once in a while, I would sort of experiment. Well, like my intuition is saying that this is wrong, but I'm just going to do it anyway. And I'm going to do it consciously. I'm going to see what happens. And it was a disaster. And so, it's like where maybe I got like the paycheck, but I missed out on something else, and it's like, it wasn't really worth the money anyway, because the energetics were so off, and it's just like, so it was a reinforcement of my decision either way. Like, even if I made a mistake, it was sort of just a reinforcement of what I actually believed. And, but I would also say that it's, I had a mentor, who's very, very successful in the world, making a lot of positive spiritual impact, and then also, successful, financially, but that was after like maybe 35 years of working really hard. And so, but he said to me, he gave me this advice that I've really used completely for my business. And he said, most people get caught in the Western mind trap of bigger being better. Mm-hmm. And is what they do is they really lose their connection to whatever their real offering is, because they just get into this like, rat race sort of thing. And so he said, I would say to you, instead of thinking how big you can make Qoya, think of how deep you can make it. And he said, because if the work is actually of value, like if you are actually positively impacting people's lives, it will grow organically at the rate at which you have ambassadors to hold it along with you. And anything that's going to get really big, really fast, either doesn't have a lot of depth, or or it's just, got this whole other thing on its own. But if you're just thinking about making it bigger, then most things that have this big thing, they don't always have the depth. Like, so just sacrifice as little depth as possible, like stay true to what the work actually is, and then let other people be inspired by it. So if there is a moment where it expands, you have all these other people to hold and be ambassadors of it. And so I definitely feel like that is what's happening. Qoya doesn't have necessarily like the biggest reach. It's not a household name, but it's very strong and very loyal. And the people that are here are really here, So my goal wasn't to train, 1,000 teachers by 2015 and to, none of that. My goal was to feel like if there was one person in class or there was 100 people in class, that we went as deep as we could. And like we really savored and maximized the experience of being together. And so that's something like I get to, like, sometimes you receive financial abundance, but sometimes there's so many other ways that you can get paid. And that can, one of those can be fulfillment. And so, and then it's great to find the sweet spot where there's both.
Definitely. And I think that's the beauty of life and of this journey, where we're creating our lifestyle on basis of what we love and then sharing that with the world, because it is so true. Like, and I really feel this with Qoya, and it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't matter if there's one person or 10, it's exactly the same, throughout the whole process. And one thing that I love so much is your love of reverence, of sacredness, and creating that into, every part of your life, because we do come from a society where it's fast and, there's, so much materialism and, quick gratification. But if we slow down and see the beauty in everything, and it, the whole process has allowed me to really come back and see the sacredness within inside myself. And being a mother, I saw myself sacrificing for my family as sacred, but it wasn't. What I was doing was giving all of me because I wasn't finding myself sacred. And Qoya has really helped me fully understand that. And as women, and as so many women that I work with, because they're mums, I love working with mothers, and that's my thing because I've gone through that journey myself.
Right.
Is that sacredness is what you create consciousness about and create focus on, and we can still be the most amazing person, and it's not just for mothers, but we can be the most amazing human being, and still have that balance of giving to ourselves first and then sharing with others and all that kind of stuff, and having that container to allow others to grow as well. And for you too, you know what I mean, like you have your own family, in that you have a Qoya, like I know you're growing your own family, but if we talk about the business sense, too, you've given yourself so much in getting to where you are, but now you have a family that you're nourishing constantly too. And how did you allow that to happen? Because sometimes we can come from that scarcity mindset that this is ours, and we hold it tight. And how did you allow it to grow and to flourish into what it is, to share with other women, to be able to go and teach it to others?
Well, I would say that for me, how I hold it now is that Qoya is an embodiment of a consciousness that I didn't necessarily create, but I recognized and remembered and then reminded a bunch of other people about. So it's maybe different than other businesses. However, I would say that the thing is, if we're making it, I think it's really about the why. Like, I know that I'm here to empower women to trust themselves and to honor the call that they have to create in the world. And there's a lot of things in this world that need attention and need nurturance and need love and need clearing and healing. And I personally wholeheartedly believe that I am making the biggest impact with the combination of my skills and passion and what I actually enjoy through this way. You know, like someone else might talk to me about like a homeless problem, or someone else might talk to me about, you know, like a hunger issue in another part of the world. And I'm in service to all of life through this, because there are so many women that I get to engage with that they start to reawaken, and they might be the people that it's like, oh my gosh, I have this connection to and this passion for holding space and creating healing environments for the homeless. I have all this. I actually have like a degree in nation building, and I know how to address these hunger issues. And so for me, it's like, I'm not just serving women through movement, I'm serving life. Yeah. And I'm doing it through the way that I have the most access and impact. And so I'm putting all of my energy in there. And the way that that grows is through others who resonate with it, taking it. Like, I am only one person. And I just feel like one of the things, you know, I haven't done a ton, but I've done enough business and entrepreneurship things too, that it's like, if you want to grow, you have to hire someone, you know, like you just like, there's only so much one person can do. And if you want to get more into your creative and your visioning, you need other people doing those things. So like, I'm in this place now with Qoya. Like, I know Qoya works. Like, I've looked women in the eye before and after thousands and thousands of classes and workshops and retreats. It works. So I'm not confused about that. So now really supporting and encouraging teachers who feel the call to share and go out there is like great. But then that's also starting to open up space for me and to continue to nurture Qoya and whatever else wants to come through. You know, so like holding it on tight is like you're holding on to the one thing, but then you're also not open to anything else that's coming. And so, you know, and I think you said it too, like in the question, it's like the old mindset of scarcity. It's like, okay, great. I mean, we all have moments like that, but like, how does it feel? It feels crappy in your interactions, and everyone else can feel it too. So it's like those things, like you feel like you're being like a good business person by being like not generous and really full of scarcity. Everyone can feel it, and it really doesn't do any good for anybody. So it's sort of like, okay, I get it. Yeah, you have a phone bill. I have a phone bill too. And, you know, we don't have to be jerks. You know, we can, so, I don't know. To me, it's not that confusing, but.
Yeah, definitely. And that's just so amazing what you're saying too, is that when you get others to, you know, come on board and, you know, share what your vision is, it's giving you time to birth another course, hasn't it? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So in response to this question around the call to create, we created an online course, which is this thing that lives online so people can do it anytime they want. And one of the things for me is I was really thinking about, I love leading retreats, and that's like a really powerful thing, but it's like, if someone can't get there, how could they get this like deeply rich, like interactive experience? And people often ask me questions like, how did you, you know, create your business? How did you create a movement system? How did you do these things? And it's like, okay, here it is. Like, here's the map. So it's like a 140-page workbook. There's just so much content there. It's pretty broad and amazing. And so offering that to people and exploring also these ways of utilizing technology so that, you know, can provide meaningful experiences for other people, and then also open up more time and space for me, because as much as I love doing retreats and teacher trainings, you know, there's like a 1 to 10, 1 to 20, maybe 1 to 30 or 40 ratio. And so that the online forum gives me the opportunity to work with hundreds of people at a time, and just still in that depth and that exploration. So I feel really grateful for that.
And it's a really like the program that I've been looking into, the online course. It's all about what we've been talking about, embodying your why, you know, using your cycles and the elements, you know, that sacredness and that reverence for life in creating such a heart-centered business. And I think this is the thing, it's such, again, on the forefront, because I don't feel there's really anything like it that has been created to, you know, encompass all of this. Like, it's so exciting because, you know, women are coming up, like you said, into this role in this lifetime of bringing more to the world and, you know, bringing their message through and their wisdom. And how do you do that in a heart-centered way? How do you move away from that linear mindset? And this gives you the tools, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think that was the thing that I was so excited when we created it, because I was like, I need this. Like, I know all these things, but to have it in the workbook and like to go through and like just have it, it was so inspiring. And so to create something that was so meaningful and pulling in all together. And we interviewed like 25, like, you know, leading experts and in all these different aspects of women's embodiment and spirituality, and really brought together, like, it's just on the pulse, I feel like, of what is happening now, you know, at the time where we're recording this in 2017, and where is our consciousness individually and collectively, and what are we reclaiming and waking up to around remembering that the cycles in our body to create on the cycles in nature, you know, that we're not separate from those, and that there's an opportunity to really have so much more grace and flow and inspiration in that process versus in the industrial complex of, you know, forcing and exhaustion and, you know, a lot of models that are clearly unsustainable and creating a lot of destruction to the environment, to our psyches, and, you know, to our social structures in terms of everyone just being so exhausted.
Definitely. I got goosebumps. It's so amazing. And I just want to thank you so much for everything that you have provided. And for, I guess the thing is, it's for every woman who watches this, who thinks they have a message, you can, you know, or have something, you can do it, because everyone has, we are so lucky in the day that we live in. It's not about where you come from. It's not about your social standing or anything like that. It's about what's in your heart and what you have to share, and be willing to go through the transformation to being able to step up as a leader and to shine your light bright, so you can help, you know, shine the way for other women or other people to find their way too, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. And I feel like there's so many of us that are holding this vibration of the heart. Like, there's so many of us, and it's not in the headlines of the news, and it's not, you know, but it's palpable and it's right there. And that's one of my favorite things about traveling, and through the different Qoya communities, of really being able to be in so many different people's living rooms and feel the communities of people around them who are gathering in this. And I really feel like whatever that unique part of the puzzle that anyone that's listening to has, is just to trust it, you know, trust the call that you have, trust the skills that you have. And I know for me, one of the things that I feel, and with a lot of women that I've worked with, is that when you just keep taking like the next right step that feels right, when it does come together, it's like nothing was for naught, like everything, it was like so bizarre. You know, I was like a massage therapist, you know, I ran and organized and did teacher trainings for like YMCA CPR trainings. Like, there was just like all these different things that like perfectly prepared me for my job right now, but were completely like didn't make sense, as you know, in the 10-15 years leading up to it. And I think that that part of like patience is really required, because, you know, also modern culture, like now, I need my download now. I need to like know what my life purpose is now. And so I feel like it's undoubtedly, I really want to stand for anyone listening to this. You might not have the 5-year strategic plan, but you 100% know what the next step is, the next step that you can do in like the next week. Like, and so all you need to do is just do the next step. And just keep asking yourself, what is that one next step? And if you want to strategize, that's great. But I'm just saying, like, you don't want to not do anything because you're like waiting for this big vision. And step by step, it 100% comes in.
And trusting yourself, because thank you so much for bringing that up. I just want to share. So I did this, like the same thing, doing all these courses, you know, I did the massage therapy and, you know, doing all these different things and coaching and all this stuff. And my husband's like, you know, the people around you might say, what are you doing? Like, you're just everywhere and you're doing everything, and why? And you've just got to trust yourself and know that I know that this is for a reason. And because it is like, now that the big picture, like everything's coming into play and it's all coming in, all my skill sets are creating these things. And I'm just like, I see, I knew. And just,
That's amazing.
yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, and and I can imagine that you really felt it. You're like, it's like, I don't know why, but I need to do this. I need to do this. And so to really trust that, trust the things that excite you, trust the things that delight you, because, we're not just like all these conversations that we're having, we're really on the front lines of mapping a new paradigm, and it's not written yet. And I really believe the instruction manual drops in through our intuition and our attunement to subtle energy of noticing how we actually feel. And we're remembering that we can live our lives in a way that does not go against how we feel, that does not negate the value of our lived experience, that does not ask us to acquiesce to what the dominant culture is asking of us, because it's not serving the highest good. So, it's a lot of deprogramming and a lot of like unconditioning ourselves. And so women's circles, movement, nature, rest, these are all ways to like clear things out so we can see clearly. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time. This really has been an inspired conversation. I've loved every moment of it. And I just thank you so much again for everything that you do, and, for, paving the way for us and for doing it in such a heart-centered way. So thank you so much, Rochelle. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tammie, and thank you for everyone that's listening. It's a really big honor to be together with you whenever you listen to this through that time-space illusion.
Thank you. I love it. Thank you so much for joining us in another Inspired Business Conversation, and I look forward to you joining us next time. Thank you.